Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something a lot of us grapple with, anxiety. We're checking out The Easy Way to Handle Anxiety by Johnny Montoya.
Oh, I like him already. Straightforward title.
Right. And he keeps it real. He's funny, but the advice is solid. It's not about pretending anxiety doesn't exist, you know?
Which is refreshing because so much of what we see is like, just think positive. Easier said than done.
Totally. Montoya gets that. One of his core beliefs that really resonated with me is there's always a way to deal with anxiety.
I like that. Not just cope, but actually deal. There's a difference.
Right. And he should know. He even talks about how you started getting anxious while writing this very book.
Meta anxiety about anxiety. Okay, that's relatable.
Right. But here's the thing. Instead of freaking out, he actually used his own techniques, the ones he's writing about, to calm down. Like, it's proof it can work.
I love that. He walks the walk. Okay, so how does he want us to approach this whole rewiring our brains thing?
Well, he lays out these 5 core beliefs he wants readers to really, really let sink in. And that first one, that there's always a way, it's huge. Because anxiety can make you feel so stuck.
100%. Like you're trapped and it's never going to end.
And he gets that. He even talks about this awful panic attack he had back in 2001, New Year's Day, of all days.
Oh no, what happened?
So get this. He's coming back from a run, feeling good. You know, new year, new him.
The optimism is flowing.
I know, right? And then, bam, he gets stopped by ticket inspectors on the train. He doesn't have his ticket.
Oh no. The worst. Even when you know you have it, that's anxiety inducing.
Tell me about it. But the point is, instead of letting that experience completely derail him, he actually uses it as proof that you can find those positive takeaways even in the midst of chaos.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the silver lining in getting caught without a ticket on New Year's Day?
He realized that he survived it. He didn't crumble. He didn't, spontaneously combust. He got through it. And honestly, I think finding a way to laugh about it later probably helped too.
Humor is a powerful tool. Okay, so we're starting to understand the why behind anxiety, but what about the how? How do we start changing our relationship with it?
Well, that's where this whole safe zone concept comes in. But it's not just about having a tidy room. Oh, that can help.
I was just thinking my apartment could use a little safe zone action.
Right. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But Montoya talks about it as more of a feeling, an internal state you build and can access anywhere, like a fortress of calm.
Ooh, I like that. A fortress of calm. Sign me up.
He breaks it down into these manageable steps, starting with your physical environment. He's big on fresh air, comfortable temperature, even little things like, this is going to sound weird, but sleeping naked, if it is, helps you stay cool.
Okay, now we're talking. I'm listening.
It's about taking control of those little sensory details that can unconsciously impact how we feel.
Makes sense. Our senses are directly wired to our brains. So if something's off, even slightly, it can throw everything out of whack.
And speaking of brains, he dives deep into the amygdala, which is basically like the brain's alarm system constantly on the lookout for threats.
And like any good alarm system, sometimes it's a little overzealous.
Exactly. And here's the thing. He describes it as almost like a hardware malfunction. Our amygdala can't always distinguish between real danger and imagined threats.
Meaning just thinking about something scary can trigger the same response as actually experiencing it.
Exactly. So I could be like totally snuggled up on my couch, binge watching my favorite show, feeling totally relaxed, and my amygdala could be like, red alert, danger, danger.
And that's where those bad thinking habits come in. If we're constantly ruminating on worst case scenarios, we're basically giving our amygdala permission to freak out.
It's like we're setting off our own internal alarms. So how do we stop doing that?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. And luckily for us, Montoya's got some answers, but we'll have to save those for after the break. Stay tuned as we delve into the practical strategies for taming that overactive amygdala and building our very own fortresses of calm.
So we're talking about creating this safe zone, this sense of calm, but where do we even begin?
Well, Montoya says it starts at home, literally.
Okay, so decluttering. I'll admit I'm not always the tidiest person.
Join the club. But he's not talking about being perfectly organized. It's more about how the stuff around us makes us feel.
So clutter can actually contribute to feeling anxious.
Absolutely. A cluttered space can lead to a cluttered mind. It's like your environment is mirroring that internal chaos.
Okay, that makes sense. But the thought of tackling a massive cleanup can feel overwhelming in itself.
Right. That's why he's all about small steps. Don't try to do everything at once. Maybe start with a single drawer or even just a corner of a room.
One step at a time. I can get behind that. But it's not just about decluttering, is it? He talks about optimizing for comfort, too.
Yes. He wants us to really think about those sensory details. Temperature, lighting, even the way your furniture is arranged. Make your home your sanctuary, not your stressor, he says.
It's about tuning into what actually makes you feel relaxed. Some people might want soft blankets and dim lights. Others might need bright colors and open windows.
Exactly. It's about personalizing that sense of calm. And here's where things get really interesting and maybe a little quirky. He introduces this concept of portable comfort.
Okay, this is the bum bag method, right?
Yeah.
I have to admit, I had to Google what a bum bag even was. For those who don't know, it's basically a fanny pack.
Exactly. And he wants us to fill it with what he calls essential comfort items. Not snacks, though knowing Montoya, I wouldn't rule it out. Things like mints, gum, a small bottle of lavender oil, even just a smooth stone you find comforting to touch.
So it's like having a mini version of your safe zone on the go.
Mhm.
If you start to feel anxious, you've got these sensory anchors within reach.
Exactly. It's about tapping into the power of distraction, but in a positive way. You're engaging your senses to help calm that overactive amygdala.
I like it. It's like giving your brain a little vacation from all that threat detection.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've decluttered, we've created our portable comfort kits. What about actually leaving the house?
Ah, yes, venturing out into the wild. For a lot of us with anxiety, that can be a huge hurdle.
He doesn't shy away from that, though.
Yeah.
He actually encourages readers to confront that fear head on with these practice journeys.
Yes. It's about bridging that gap between feeling safe at home and feeling safe in the world. He says, figure out your point of no return, that distance where your anxiety starts to feel unmanageable.
So for some people, it might be a 5-minute walk. For others, it could be taking the train across town.
Exactly. And then you start small, gradually increase the distance of those practice journeys and build up your confidence over time.
Like training for a marathon, but for your mind.
Exactly. And just like with any training program, consistency is key. Make those practice journeys a regular part of your routine. The more you expose yourself to those anxiety-provoking situations, but in a controlled way, the more you teach your amygdala that there's nothing to fear.
Okay, that makes sense. But even if we master the art of practice journeys, what about those situations that can throw even the calmest person off? I'm talking about, visitors.
Ah, yes, the dreaded visitors. We create these peaceful sanctuaries and then invite people to come in and potentially disrupt it all.
Right. It seems counterintuitive. So what's Montoya's advice for handling the anxiety of having guests, even wanted ones?
He's all about setting boundaries and getting in there first. He suggests starting with shorter visits, maybe just an hour or two, and with someone you feel completely comfortable with.
So it's about having those clear boundaries instead of those open-ended visits, which can feel a little unlimited and overwhelming.
Exactly. It's about maintaining that sense of control. And he even suggests things like having snacks already prepped or like having the TV on when guests arrive so you're not stuck making small talk.
I like that because it's almost like you're easing into the social interaction. It's not this sudden, all right, time to entertain.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off. And speaking of pressure, Montoya has some really interesting strategies for social gatherings. He talks about this idea of having a spokesperson to handle things like cancellations or changes of plans.
Oh, interesting. So you don't have to be the one fielding all those calls and messages.
Exactly. It's like having a buffer. And he's also big on surrounding yourself with positive people. Those friends who just make you feel good.
Choosing quality over quantity when it comes to social interactions. Because sometimes just being around certain people can be draining,
Totally. It's about protecting your energy. But let's be real, even with the best preparation and coping mechanisms, anxiety can still pop up. What about those in-the-moment strategies when you just need to calm down?
That's the real test, right? So what does Montoya recommend for those moments? Does he have any, go-to techniques?
Oh, he has a whole toolkit. Of course, there's the classic deep breathing, but he explains it in a way that's not just about the how, but the why it works.
Because, we've all heard just take a deep breath. But understanding how it actually impacts your nervous system, that can be a game changer.
Totally. And if you need something a little more active, he has this technique where you narrate your experience out loud, almost as if you're an outside observer.
So you're creating distance between you and the anxiety. Instead of feeling trapped, you can step back and observe it.
Exactly. You're basically hitting the pause button on that wave of panic. But one thing Montoya emphasizes throughout the book is It's not enough to just read about these techniques.
Right, you have to actually practice them.
Yes, he talks about building muscle memory for your mind, so when anxiety strikes, you don't even have to think, you just react.
Like anything else we want to get good at, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And that's what I appreciate most about his approach. It's practical. It's not about being anxiety-free, it's about managing it.
And he's right there with you, you know? He's funny, he's relatable, he gets it. Which I think makes all the difference when you're tackling a subject like anxiety.
Absolutely. It's like having a friend who's worked that path before, offering guidance and support, and maybe a few laughs along the way.
Exactly. It's a reminder that you're not alone, which is so important.
So true. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into the easy way to handle anxiety, I'm curious, was there anything that particularly resonated with you?
You know, his emphasis on self-compassion really struck a chord with me. It's okay to feel anxious, it's human. It's what we do with that anxiety that matters.
I love that. And for me, it was the portable comfort idea. Such a simple but powerful concept. And to our listeners, we'd love to hear from you. Have you tried any of Montoya's techniques? What are your go-to strategies for managing anxiety? Let us know. Because remember, anxiety might be part of your journey, but it doesn't have to define your destination.